The next speaker I'm about to introduce is a close personal friend, but he is also somebody who I think has literally created a subculture, thanks to his movies. I don't think that there is an Indian who has not watched... Who am I talking about? So can we do something to welcome him? Can we just go, Karan, Karan, Karan? Can we please have Karan Johar on stage? Louder, guys. Excitement here. Can we show him some love, guys? Okay, Karan is a dear friend of mine and he has really stopped doing a lot of things he had to do to make it here. So can we please show him how happy we are to see him here?
Wow. Oh, what?
What?
What I know?
Okay, we just heard hot. Maybe it meant the temperature.
Sorry, am I audible?
Can you hear Karan at the back? Yes.
Am I really audible?
Yes.
Oh, okay. This is a really cool mic then. Okay.
Yes.
Because I can't hear myself.
You are audible. He's audible till the back?
Yes. Oh, okay. Thank you.
Hi, Karan. Thank you.
I can be louder? Yes. Yeah, that's why I feel there's something wrong with this mic.
Nothing wrong with the mic. I'm being told you can be heard perfectly.
Oh, okay. Then I'll just speak louder.
Okay. You can be heard perfectly. This is just our psychological Indian need to hear ourselves, I think.
Yeah. I know. Trust me, I'm exhausted of my own thoughts. I don't want to hear myself.
No, but we want to hear you. This whole audience wants to hear you. Millions of people watching this online want to hear you. And we all love you.
Oh, thank you.
We really do.
Thank you.
And I know how busy it's been for you. I know what it's taken to be here. And I'm sorry we kept you waiting just a bit. Thank you, and we really appreciate it. Karan, do you realize how many people your movies and you have influenced? Like I just said in my introduction, it's like a subculture. You have been the architect of a subculture. Like, do you know that?
Well, the important thing is not to be aware of it.
Yes.
You know, the more aware you are of your achievement, that's where your achievement stops.
Yeah.
You know, I think you have to just keep going. I've always said that success and failure are neighbors and both will come visiting and you have to treat them both equally and treat them both with equal amount of love and care because it's going to happen. The moment you rest on a laurel, you will stay there. So that's how I've lived my life.
Have you had tough times? As a movie maker?
You know, the first couple of years of my life were actually they were God sent. I felt I was like Beyonce's song, Destiny's Child. Yeah. I really felt like things were just happening. Like I sat on a mountaintop and Shah Rukh Khan tells me that I will do your next movie when you direct it. Kajol comes on board.
Yeah.
Suddenly, Kuch Kuch Hota Hai happens. And then Kabhi Khushi Kabhi Gum happens. And then Kal Ho Na Ho happened. And then I lost my dad. And that was the first real bump on my otherwise exceptionally smooth highway. Post that, I remember feeling a bit lost. Because up to that point, I was so completely indulged. I was an only child to my parents.
Yeah.
And I still remember, I knew nothing about the economic side of things, the business side of things. I had gone to, I remember I had gone to my first award ceremony way in New York, way back in 1999. And I had signed my first lot of autographs. And I came back and my father asked me to sign a couple of checks. And on those checks, I wrote lots of love. And it's because it was how clueless I was about things. Yeah. And he came and said, for all those who, I'm sure all of you do, understand Hindi, he came and said, Beta, unko tumhara pyar nahi, tumhare paise chahiye. Ye lots of love jo hai na, ye nikal do, bas signature apna dal do. So I was like, oh God. And I remember he passed away on the 26th of June, actually. We just finished 21 years. And there was a gentleman who walked in after the prayer ceremony and he said, we haven't met, I'm your chartered accountant. Wow. And that's how little that I knew of the business. Yeah. So the real issues really began then. And I am totally grateful to my best friend from school, Apurva Mehta, who ran the company with me like a sibling. And we just kept going and, we rose, we fell, and we learned from our mistakes and continued. But real tough times, actually, if you ask me, Barkha, if I had to really speak about them, were social media. the advent of social media, when it began, when Twitter began way back. It was such an amazing platform where there was an exchange of ideas, immediate validation, complete consumer feedback. So as you can say about your own product and work. And then there was the toxicity and the negativity and the troll armies, and I got it all. And eventually I went from anger to indifference and now to acute amusement, because I'm like, whenever they write things about me, I feel like, wow, this troll army is so creative. I wish that they would exercise their creativity and do something better with it. Because they write such amazing things, even when they're absolutely
wrong.
When they're absolutely pulling you down and saying the most amazingly negative things about you. And I get it all, from my fashion to, but even if I sneeze, apparently, I nearly thought that they would blame me for COVID at one point of time, because everything that happened, somehow I'm responsible. There would be even news anchors, and this was before, thankfully you were not in the zone at that time.
Yes. You have to say you don't mean
I remember there was a man screaming loudly, and we all know who he is, and he would say that, "Ye dekho, Bollywood," and there would be my face. And I was like, "Ye Bollywood ne kya kiya?" And again my face would pop up. I'm like, "Hello, screaming man. I am not Bollywood. I'm one member in an industry that is celebrated across the world. And cut us some slack and stop screaming."
Yes.
Because
that especially.
we were anyway scared of leaving our homes. So we were all in our homes. And then imagine hearing that gentleman in surround sound. It's not a very pleasurable thing, At one point you would my God, I might as well get the pandemic.
I mean, what would you say to this gentleman if you met him in real life?
I hope I don't meet him.
Did you not get just indifferent to trolls?
Yes, absolutely. After a point, I had to be indifferent, because there was at one point of time, I'm then there was the beautiful word that got launched on my show, a stunning word called nepotism.
Yes.
And I'm I spoke about my father who passed away 21 years ago, and he would not have been he would have been actually amused that they're calling me some flag bearer of nepotism, because I know that how tough it was for him in the business and what he endured and went through. And then, of course, I was given that first move advantage. And there's always that, foot in the door that you do get. After that, everyone knows that it's your own hard work and talent that can take you where it takes you.
And there's so many star kids who don't actually make it.
There's nothing. I mean, there are so many born to privilege, but it's that, yes, and I do feel that we have that first mover advantage. We do have that first access to work. And yes, we have that advantage. We cannot take that away from ourselves. We must admit to it. We must acknowledge it. But we also know that you are not going to be able to stick on if you don't have what it takes to be successful, which is pure organic talent.
Yeah, I completely agree with you. But this nepotism debate has really followed you in every interview, every podcast.
Yeah, it's right here. You can see it.
It's right here under the cushion.
Yeah.
Is it claustrophobic to be used as kind of, to be answerable for everything in the industry?
I think that this good thing about the way I look at it and the way I see when I get trolled or attacked, I feel, thank God, at least they're not being indifferent to me.
Yeah. They can't ignore you.
Because I feel love and hate are both forms of appreciation. When they love you or they hate you, they're still acknowledging you.
Sure.
But imagine if they're indifferent to you. That's the worst feeling. Imagine you've done something and no one's talking about it. So I look at it with all the negativity or the assault that comes my way, that I must be relevant. I must matter. That's why they're talking about me. Even when they're bitching about what I'm saying, what I'm wearing, what I'm doing, I'm like, I must really annoy people, And I'm like, how fabulous is that?
Yeah. Absolutely. And you know what? It's not about annoying. It's about, you have shaped in many ways cultural norms. And I'm not saying this in a sort of profound or trying to be profound way. I think we've all been shaped by some Karan Johar movie. Yes? Does anybody want to talk about how watching a Kejo film changed your life? Here, why don't you come on up? Come on up, since there's space next to you.
How welcoming you are, Barkha.
Yeah, I know. Sorry.
Hi.
Sit.
Thank you
Hi.
so much. Hi, Karan.
Hi.
Anuj here. Lovely, wonderful questions, by the way. Thank you so much.
Can I hold this
From
for
one
you?
from
Yeah.
one genre to another, it's wonderful. I think, Karan, there's two things that I've noticed about your films. I think you've often said that you are really someone who, your films are a love letter to Indian cinema. I was watching Kabhi Alvida Na Kehna the other day, and I feel like the complex relationships, you take Kabhi Kabhi, you take Silsila, like Yash Chopra references are definitely there. Bombay Talkies, your segment, which I thought was outstanding, and it was a same-sex relationship story, which I thought as someone from the community, I I must admire you and applaud you for that as well.
Oh, thank you.
We can clap for that. Yeah.
Now, Rani in that segment looked stunning, and she reminded me so much of a Satyajit Ray heroine.
Yes.
So I love the way you pay homage to all these sort of filmmakers, and I'm so sorry, it's a very long-winded question, apologies, but it's just so much I have to say to you, because I also love the fact that there's a voice of innocence amidst everything.
So can I ask you, which film changed your life?
My name is Khan. I think that just changed me completely, because obviously we knew you for like you doing these very larger than life escapist sort of films, but that film, till now, I still cry. That scene when Kajol looks at Sam, I still always shed a tear. And that voice of innocence that you always bring to your stories, there's always that voice of innocence trying to get the voice heard. Take Rocky Rani, Anjali, who played that character, is a symbol of that. Kavish and Katikushi.
So he's a Karan Johar encyclopedia. I'll have to now ask you to jump off stage, but you can do a hug. See, the hatred, so-called, is all social media
It's all
rubbish.
virtual.
When you meet people in real life, people are lovely.
I know that it doesn't exist. It's actually a virtual bubble, and I think a lot of people write things only to be noticed online.
Yes.
And the moment you write a puff piece or a hugely positive piece,
nobody
you'll
notices
say
you.
100 views, and then there'll be like this big clickbait headline with something negatively written, and there'll be like 1 million views. So negativity travels, online, and we all know that.
What's the cruelest thing as an adult professional, because I do want to take you back to your school years, which I know is a different experience. What's the harshest, cruelest thing that you've heard about yourself that you could not ignore? I've understood that most of us just ignore the rubbish below our posts or, about us on social media, because we know real life is very different. But something that rankled, that was horrible, that was too horrible to ignore.
There was a comment once, and there have been several posts that, which was really tough for me because it made me think. When they said that, do you realize that you've denied your children a mother? And that broke my heart, because that made me feel like, for the first time, I questioned my decision of being a single parent. When my kids asked me, where they came from, I said to them that you came from Dada's heart. A story that I couldn't take very far because now they know the biology of it. But I believe very strongly that I have enough love in me for the both of them. I can be their parent, their mother, their father, their grandparent, their everything. They mean the world to me. They're the center of my universe. But that comment made me question or second guess.
I think we have some pictures of you with your kids, but
made me second guess that decision. And for a beat, it made me wonder whether I had done the right thing. And then that very morning, I read that comment, and I had a moment where I just broke down. I was sitting in my room, and I remembered that day, and I just cried. And I went into their room, and they were about 5 years old at that time. And I looked at them and I said that it was a silly question to ask 2 5-year-olds. They were like, are you happy?
You asked them?
Yeah. And they said, yeah, very happy, Dada. And I said, why? They said, because you're our Dada. Oh. And in a sense...
I have to hug you.
Oh, thank you.
It's the sweetest and, in a way, saddest... little moment of pain there that I could feel.
And I was like, that answered my question. And then I said, now, bring it on.
After
say
that,
what you want to
mattered.
say what you want. I'm very proud to be their single parent. And it is daunting. and also hilarious when you are on 2 WhatsApp groups with 30 mothers on one and 32 on another. They're in 2 different divisions, A and B. Anil ji, namaskar. I just saw you. Sorry, namaskar. How are you?
Zarur.
And I was like, every morning I wake up to such amazing women, 62 of them. And they always say, ladies. And I'm like, hello. I'm on this WhatsApp group as well. But they're so nurturing and so helpful. And they really helped me, through tough times when I really don't know. Because whenever I go to any parent-teacher meeting, I'm always doing 2.
Both
right?
roles, yeah.
And then I'm going and hearing both for both of them. And that's the joy of having twins. But it's also for me, the double whammy has been that I'm an only child and a single parent.
Yeah.
So in many ways, it's very tough that, I don't have a partner or a sibling, but I have a huge amount of love. I have so much support from friends. My found family is exceptional. They've been there for me, with me, by me, through tough times, through happy times. And I'm so blessed that I was able to create this absolutely beautiful found family.
Amazing. Before I take Anilji's question, one more just connected to what you've said. What was that moment when you decided to be a single dad and be both mom and dad and everything else in between? Do you remember that moment? Did you have self-doubts? How did you reach a decision?
I always wanted to have, I felt I had a very strong paternal and maternal instincts. It happened when I was like, when I have my 2 cousins, Priyanka and Anushka, who I was always like a father to. And then when I launched Alia, and I felt very paternal towards her, right through the journey, I used to look over her like I would to a child. So I knew I had those instincts. But then there was another part of me that kept waiting for love. I kept waiting to be in a relationship of love. And I realized that love, if it happens, it does. If it doesn't, you can't just keep waiting for something that is something that may never happen. Or if it happens, it can happen not in the way you imagined it to. And at one point I was like, now I have to just stop waiting. If it comes my way, it will. But what I do want to be is a parent, because I feel like these instincts are so strong. And they're an active volcano of love within me. And I don't want to wait for it to ever be dormant. So I want to kind of act on it. And I got all the help and legal assistance at that time and the medical assistance. And thank God for the marvels of medicine that was able to kind of bring Yash and Ruhi into my life. And it was about when I was in my 40s, and I just turned 40s when I started working towards it. And they came into my life when I was 44 years old.
And you weren't daunted by being a 44-year-old parent. Like a woman or a man might feel, oh my God, do I have the energy for these young...
Well, the 2 things I did do when I have them is, one is that I never read a book or heard a podcast
on how to parent.
Yeah. Because that's the one thing and I don't say those who do it are doing anything wrong. There's no right or wrong way of parenting. Mm-hmm. But I realized that your instinct is your superhero. Your instinct is what you're born with. No book can tell you, no podcast, no other parent can tell you how to parent your child. Nobody can. Your individual relationship with your child and your individual circumstance really is only yours. And I went and I tried to do that little podcast route and, read 1 or 2 books. And I was like, I'm not doing this. And I'm not calling other mothers and fathers and saying, kya karu? I was like, let me form my own way. That's the one thing I did is I did not read or listen to a podcast. Second thing is I hit the gym because I'm like, I need to live long. I need to be healthy. I need to eat healthy. Yeah. I need to be healthy because I need to be an active parent. Lord knows I'm still not playing football with my son or attempting to go to an Olivia Rodrigo concert with my daughter because those things I've told them I can't do and I don't want to, but I will do other things. I will communicate, speak, give them quality time and also give them a sense of a set of values that I was raised by because I think we are defined by our value system and that's what I want to give my children.
Absolutely. I'm actually told our producers pulled off a little clip of the kids wishing you happy birthday, I guess, a while ago.
They must have been.
Do we have the clip? Well, let's just hear it.
All right. It was my birthday and I got nothing from the both of you.
I got you this.
Oh yes, you did. You made it so lovely. Thank you, Ruhi. And sir?
I gave you hugs and kisses.
Oh, and I should feel great about getting a hug and a kiss from you, huh? Next year, what are you going to give me, Yash?
I think you need a new clothes and a new wardrobe.
And we think you should stop taking selfies.
Oh God, why do I need anyone?
First, stop doing that mute.
Yash, can you stop? That's my pout. Bye. 2 drinks. So, you know that why do you say that? Why do trolls not affect me at all? Because guess what I have at home?
You have 2 homes.
I have in-house trolls, so how can any troll really bother me or affect me?
That was so cute. All right. I don't want to steal Karan all to myself. We have questions. I'll start with Anilji and then we'll open it up. Anilji, can I request you to just come up so that I think the cameras will be able to pick up your question? Thank you. Sir.
Yes,
Oh, very nice.
बैठ जाइए sir. आप बैठ जाओ. Have a seat.
No, I just wanted to make a comment, not any question. Please. So, I remember Yashji, Gulshan Rai, another Yashji. They are legend. How they were ruling the industry, and he was going through his health problem. Still, he was very, very active, his father. And he has all the blessing. Couple of times, we were in the plane, we were in London, talking a little bit here and there about how he used to love him. And he has really, and the Hiruji, what a lady. She stood by him, amazing. She been there. It's all about the family, parents' blessing and the mother support from inside, outside. That's what Karan is today.
No, thank you.
I wish him very, very best. I've seen his journey from meeting his father. I don't know how many years, must be 25 years back or maybe more, around that time. And I was very young. I was going to these people all the time. I was very fascinated by Bollywood. So I will make Gulshan Rai a friend, he's my much elder to me. And then they used to come together and they used to talk about. And Karan was around Yashji. So I wish you very, very best.
Oh, thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you. Sir, वहाँ step है. So I'm going to open this up for questions. And there are so many questions. I will start with the young lady here in the row 4. Yeah. Come to the mic. Sorry, I'm going to take as many as I can, but you have to be patient with me. Okay. Yeah.
Thank you, Barkha. First of all, I'm 55-year-old, so calling me as a young lady is...
You look very young to me with my old woman eyesight, but okay.
And Karan, I am an IVF specialist and I'm clinical lead for world's first IVF clinic, Bourne Hall. So your story, when I read your story, I thought you have broken so many glass ceiling in stereotypical Indian male. And congratulations. That's what I wanted to say.
Thank you for saying that. I'll take one more question here from... Oh, is there anybody here? Come on up. It's easier for me to get those close to the stage up here. Yes.
Hi, Karan.
Hello.
This feels very surreal. But anyway, my question is actually...
What's your name?
My name's Moya.
Yeah.
My question actually is about your journey into going from your... It's a very odd question, but it's about going into your journey in fashion from when you were in sweatshirts to now some fashionista that you are, and looking at things like how people struggle with weight and if that has had an influence. I was very interested to know what your journey was and how you've got to this stage where you are such a fashion icon.
Thank you.
Thank you. It's very kind. Thank you so much. My brush with fashion happened I used to always absolutely obsess about what people wore. Like you mentioned Yash Chopra, and his films always, the characters were always so beautifully dressed, and his aesthetics were always on point. And I remember when I was young, watching films like Umrao Jan and Pakiza and Mr. Yash Chopra's films, even the aesthetics of the 60s and 70s and Guru Dutt and all the immaculately dressed men and women, and everything I loved about fashion came from Hindi cinema. And I grew up loving it and just watching it with awe and admiration. Then when simultaneously, like she mentioned, I did fight huge amount of weight issues as a child, and you face that amount of like bullying that's attached to it, and then it becomes a thing. Then I developed body dysmorphia, like I used to feel very uncomfortable in my own skin. So I've been through a journey, and then starts the process of trying to lose it. The diets, the regimes, every kind of diet, and at one point you have to stop and just learn to love yourself. If you can find a way to find a relationship with yourself,
I think we have pictures of you from
deeply
Cannes.
rooted in love. Yeah. Oh my God.
How long does it take you to get ready?
Actually, truth be told, 22 minutes.
22, that's very precise. What are the last 2 minutes about?
Timed it. I've timed
last 2
it.
minutes are what?
It doesn't take very long for most men to get ready, and even the vain ones. And the extra ones are then they should just resort to other.
Are you vain?
I've become partially vain. I wasn't earlier, but I am partially vain now, because now when you lose the weight, you want to wear the clothes you love. But having said that, I'm all about people who own themselves no matter what their weight is. Because I love those people who are confident in their own skin. Because, this is these are part of like what I train my children. These words that labels like fat and obese and all these words we use are scarring.
Yeah.
They're terms that people can live with. Your weight is not your identity. Your personality is your identity.
Absolutely.
And I'm like, I may have lost weight, but I also gained perspective over years. That even if I was a certain weight, I still want to feel comfortable in my skin. I work towards that every day. And I tell people, you cannot be defined by the way you look in terms of cosmetically. Because Lord knows there's enough that you can actually do with a doctor to make yourself better. So, if you can afford it and there are means. And for those who can't, you have to know your beauty lies in your soul, in your personality, in your inner self, and you have that glow that no one can take away from you, because all the makeup in the world can't ever touch your soul. It can't cover it or uncover it. It's just going to always be out there. So I'm like, please, let's not make it about like how you look and what you wear, but who you are is more critical. Having said that, fashion is lovely. It's an art form, and for those who love it, more power to you.
Can we briefly go back? Okay, everybody has to sit down. Your standing is not going to make me come to you for a question. It's going to have the opposite impact. So if you want me to pull you out from the audience, take your seats, please. Can I take you back to your school years, where actually what you're saying today is not a comfort you had for yourself, right? You were, and I know you and I have spoken about this before, you were bullied, you were taunted, you were not a typical guy in the way that typical guys were meant to be. And there was a lot of discovery and a lot of heartache in that moment, in that journey.
Yeah. But I have to say that I was raised by very stable, sorted, and very much in love parents.
Yeah.
So I grew up in an atmosphere of love. And nowhere at home was I made to believe that I was unusual as a boy. It's the world outside that used words that called you, like the word in the 80s was pansy, which was translated as a boy who's effeminate. And you're called that word, and that word
were you called that?
Yes, a lot. Every time I went out into school competitions, or even like my own building and apartment block was very protective about me. My own school was very protective about me. But we went into school competitions or went outside of our domain where I stayed in my residence. And there were other boys and girls at my age who would say very mean and rude things. But when I came back home, Barkha, my dad would say, oh, dance, like, to the dance I used to do from the film Sargam. I used to do Jaya Prada's parts, and my father was so proud, and he would make me dance for all his friends. Yeah. And not once did he think that this is unusual, that an 8 or a 9-year-old boy is dancing to Jaya Prada's choreography. Yeah. And it's not bizarre, unusual, or strange. Yeah. Neither did my mom say anything. And so when I had that stability at home, that's what kept me strong. It kept me protected and kept me sheltered from the worldview. Having said that, when I went outside, there were people who told me, there was a man who told me he was an elocution, he was a public speaker and he taught people public speaking. And he told me, you sound like a girl. So bring baritone in your voice because the world will be tough.
Who was this person?
I won't mention
No,
his name.
not
either.
name. I mean, who?
He actually was somebody who ran a public speaking academy, and he actually came and he was being very.
So you were taking public speaking lessons?
Yes, I wanted to learn it and hone that craft. But what he took me aside and said that you sound a lot like a girl, and it's not going to hold you well in the world. So he started asking me to come to a special class where he would bring baritone in my voice. Now, not something that I would ever advise anyone to do what I went through, but he was being actually compassionate at that point. He was actually trying to help.
Yeah.
But I would tell my dad at home that I'm doing computer classes. Whereas actually I was taking this voice training where I was trying to bring baritone in my voice.
Because you were trying to sound more like a guy,
a man. And he said he also taught me how to walk better and train my hands. And he said life is like living in a box, like you keep using your hands like this so that they don't flip and flop. All this I did, all this I did to conform. Today I would never advise. If my son was a certain way, I would say be that way. But at that time, in the 80s, it was a very different time. The joke here is that I told my dad I was doing computer classes and taking money from him for computer classes, and then the computer arrived at our workplace, and my father said, here's the computer, you've been doing computer classes, abhi sikhao hum sabko. And I had never seen a computer in my life. And I didn't know what to say, that I was trying to sound like a man, not learn the computer terminology. And it was rather embarrassing.
So what happened then?
So he was very disappointed in me that for 3 years I was going to a class and I knew nothing. But I never told him that's where I was going.
So 3 years you went to a voice coaching class
Yes.
to sound more like a guy.
Yes.
And actually, you know what? You can tell that as a funny story today, but it's actually a sad story.
Yeah, it was not fun because I had to lie to everybody else what I was doing. I would go to this gentleman's
No, and just
house,
that you felt that pressure.
and he
That's
and
the
his
sad
wife
part.
were very compassionate, and they would make me put things in my mouth, like one steal something or a spoon and go and ooh and like I was like at one point when I go back in time and I think about those days and I was like, yes, they did bring baritone in my voice. Yes, I did start walking more like a man, talking more like, I mean, as much as it could be. I'm not saying that I became Rambo overnight, but it was just like, it was better. But I know that this is something that society at that point of time made you feel in a certain way and therefore made you want to correct. Today, you can't correct yourself. You're not flawed. You are who you are.
Yeah.
And you have to be who you are. And you have to be allowed to be who you are.
As a parent, you can clap for that. As a parent, how mindful do you have to be that when you're raising a boy and a girl, son and a daughter, because all of us are products of conditioning. And, you know, we fight it, but then we're still products of conditioning. How mindful do you have to be that you bring them up with the same freedom?
You know, Barkha, we don't realize at home, we're all parents in this house, I'm sure. We say things, we don't realize how deeply affecting they are. You know, have you not heard the expression, don't cry like a girl?
Yeah.
You know, what do you mean?
Yeah.
Don't cry like a girl.
Yeah.
It's everyone's prerogative to cry. It's everyone's prerogative to laugh. So the first thing is you don't say things like that. The first thing you do is not buy pink for a girl and blue for a boy. Buy 2 pinks, buy 2 blues.
That's right.
The first thing you do is when you're encroaching them into class and saying that my daughter will also learn football. My son will also do dance.
Yeah.
They will both go to taekwondo. You know, and that's what I've done with my children. They both do dance classes, they do jazz ballet, they do taekwondo, and they play football. They do it together. There is no differentiation made at home. And I tell my people at home to not say these things, you know, that, she should wear dresses and he should wear shorts. Yeah. I'm like, please, let them wear what they want to. They will make their personal choices. And if he does want to wear blue, allow him to wear blue. Sometimes he comes back and says, I won't wear pink. In school, the boys say that only girls wear pink. And then I have to give him a long lecture.
Yeah.
You know, and after that, and I've given my son has a sense of humor.
Yeah.
So every time I give him a long lecture and I reprimand him, he takes a beat and turns around and always say, and now any compliments? And I'm like, I don't know what to do because I burst out laughing. Like, he's just hilarious. But I do give those long lectures. It's, as I said, all these lessons all begin at home. What you say with your spouse, with your parents, to them,
Yeah.
all is heard. So what you say at home is
Matters.
very, very important.
Okay. Lots of hands. So I am going to take. Okay, where's the backbencher? Come on up to the mic. But you've got to be quick. Sorry. Come on, come on. Okay. All right, there.
Hi, Karan. Hi, Barkha. Thank
Hi.
you. My name is Sunaina.
Hi.
I have one request and one question.
Okay.
My request is, Karan, movies has been a big part of you. All our childhood, everything has been your movies. However, there's another very important part of you, and that's Coffee with Karan. And how about this lovely couch, this lovely audience, this lovely studio, about bringing Coffee with Karan to London? Because half of Bollywood...
What I can say to you, and then you come quickly to your question so we can get others a chance, is that I don't know about the full show, but after Karan's conversation with me, we do have a Coffee with Karan moment with another guest.
Oh, amazing.
So your
So-
dream is partially, your request
Thank
is
you.
partially accepted. Quickly your question.
And my question is, your WhatsApp group, so the groups that you're on WhatsApp on, are probably one of the most exciting groups in my head. So this is my Sex and the City moment, but it's probably one of the most exciting groups in my head. So are you ever going to put those WhatsApp into a movie, into a book, into something that we can also enjoy?
Sunaina, if anyone ever got access to those WhatsApp groups about me and many of my friends from the fraternity, I think we'll have to move to London. We may not be able to continue living in our city because let me tell you, there is complete, honest, candid, and might I say sometimes very witchy
That's what we need to hear.
analysis, shall we call it, of our immediate environment and what's going on. We are fashion critics, we are movie critics, we are critics of everything on that group, and everyone has an opinion, and none of us can ever put those opinions out. And unfortunately, that's our fundamental right of like freedom of speech that we can only contain to that WhatsApp group and never let it out. And I'm sure we are allowed to speak our hearts and minds outside of that, but those conversations are very private.
Okay, I can take only one more question, and I am going to take it on this side. I'm so sorry, the young woman at the last row. Yeah, you.
Speak it out from there, darling.
Speak it out from there. Yeah, just project. Okay, hang on.
No, but I'll say it out loud. I can hear.
Hang on. Take this.
Hi, good evening, everyone. My name is Shipra Sharma. Thank you, Barkha and Karan, for coming here tonight. You guys are looking stunning, by the way. And I'm a big fan of your work. Grew up watching your movies. It's just been an amazing experience, the kind of cult classic cinema you have created on screen on the celluloid. It's amazing. My question for you is today not about your work, about your personal life, because everybody knows about it. It's all in public domain. I'm curious to know, as you as Karan Johar, as an individual, what is it one thing that fulfills you as an individual, as a person, and what's your biggest life lesson?
What fulfills me are three roles. One is the role of being a son to my dad and now to my mom. It's very fulfilling to see their joy and their journey of life unfold, to me, changing my role from being a son to now a parent to my mom. In many ways, she's 82 and, automatically those roles change. Just unfolding that emotion, unraveling all those emotions in front of her is a very fulfilling part of my existence. The second role is that of a parent to my twins, Yash and Ruhi. As I said, they are the center of my universe, the reason of my being. And the third is that of being a storyteller. I feel that when you are a filmmaker, you come closest to being God. You create your own universe. You can make people sing and dance, laugh and cry at your beck and call. What's better than that? I feel blessed are those who are storytellers and content creators. And these are the 3 roles that that make me very joyous and make me feel very fulfilled. A life lesson, if I had to say, is like, I don't know, I don't want to sound like a Hallmark card, but like, if I could just say 2 words, and it's not a lesson, it's a request. Be kind.
Yeah.
It takes very little. I think it's so much harder not to be. It's so much harder on yourself not to be. Just be kind. It takes very little to smile, to be polite, to be gracious, courteous, and just as honorable as you can be.
And I can tell you from personal experience, Karan is probably the kindest celebrity that I have known. The kindest, really. Just a last question. How have you changed over the years? It's tough to remain real, grounded, and we're all altered by life. How is that Karan Johar, who was dancing to Jayaprada's character in front of the mirror, getting mocked for it outside, comfortable home environment of love, and then all of this celebrity attention, trolling, all of the ups and the downs? How have you changed? Are you different today?
Yes. I, for a very large part of my life, was a people pleaser. And now I'm all about trying to go within myself and not seek validation from others. And that's been the big change.
And that's the toughest thing to do sometimes, isn't it?
It is. Now,
Karan,
from spending evenings with people, I enjoy me-evenings, which are evenings with myself.
I love that word. I hadn't heard that. Can we please have the biggest round of applause for Karan Johar? And yes, a standing ovation is wonderful. Come on, big, louder, 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 louder. And I did promise that we cannot let Karan go without giving him the moderator's sofa, without giving him the coffee with Karan corner. But before we do that,
I have to apologize to all the questions that
left unanswered.
That were left unanswered. My apologies in the need for time.
I'm so sorry. I'm so sorry for that. You need to come here and spend an entire day with us sometime soon.
Yes.
Karan, kick me under the table if there was a table. But before I hand over the speaking corner to him, our next guest is a very special guest. She's fierce, self-made, a polyglot, an actor, a politician, returning to screen after 17 years. And before we honor Karan, which I'm going to ask her to do the honors, can we please put our hands together for Smriti Irani? Let's show her some love. Let's show her some love. Before I hand over to Karan, I'm just going to request Ms. Irani to present Karan Johar with the Changemaker of 2025 award. Let's give it up. Okay, guys, I didn't think that was loud enough, so bigger applause.